I ask for the truth on behalf of Julieann Kiely concerning her situations, if they'll get better anytime soon, or what's going on here. I ask for the truth. In the name of truth, right conduct, peace, love and non-violence, blessed be to the crow, the carrier of souls from darkness into light. And we just cut the deck like so, and we'll just deal out 3 cards here to see what's going on. The question was something to do with had a bad year, is it going to get better next year? That's basically the question. So I suppose as we draw toward the end of 2017, we can see what maybe is just around the corner, sort of Decemberish, January. The 3 cards, of course, are the beginning, the middle and the end, aren't they? The past, the present and the future. In this case, of course, I usually say with the past and the future, it's a moon phase behind, a moon phase in front, with Julieann Kiely there just in the middle. Moon phase behind, roughly about 27 days, so it's about 3 or 4 months, 3 or 4 weeks so behind, and 3 or 4 weeks or so in front. So what happened about 3 or 4 weeks ago concerning this situation? Of course, things have been negative, or appear to have been negative, over the past 12 months, don't they, here. But let's just see what's been going on over the past 3 or 4 weeks or so, just to get a grip of what's, you could say what's going on now, really, couldn't you? What's sort of going on presently, if you get what I mean. And yes, the 5 of Swords in the recent past. Crowley calls the 5 of Swords the Lord of Defeat. There's an Aquarian sort of energy there going on, but 5 is loss and Swords is air. The element of air often related to the numbers 2 and 3, which is creative and transmissive powers. And of course 5 is any number between 4 and 9. Now those are the numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. They're related to the element of water. So you could say the watery part of air, couldn't you? Or in this case, the water being mental and moral qualities, you could say mental and moral qualities of creative and transmissive powers. Of course, we said 5 is lost, didn't we? And I suppose that's why Crowley calls it the Lord of Defeat, because it's a loss of creativity, a loss of communication, and so on. This deck, the Crow, tends to focus on the distress that's recently taken place with you there, Julieann. And notice here we've got like a chessboard type pathway ahead of us. The angel facing down that pathway. Often it's the path of light and darkness, because it's got black and white squares. So the black squares are the darkness, the light squares are the light, of course. And of course it's as if you have to try and walk on the white squares, but you'll slip now and again. But it's the path of light and darkness anyway. We're going to the journey of life, as you would say. And this is what you've been doing, sort of heading down that path, as we all do. The angel there, of course, symbolises messages, because an angel is a messenger, so there are messages, the wings symbolising the movement of those messages. And whatever messages you received, obviously to do with the 5 and defeat, you clearly have lost out in some way, shape or form, even just recently. so this so-called things have not been too good since sort of like the beginning of the year, as is continuing or has been continuing over the past month or so, maybe culminating or coming to some sort of crescendo maybe as well. A lot of confusion going on, distress going on there, and indicating that it has been getting at you. In that capacity, it has been getting at you. But of course, remember the loss of communication, loss of creativity. Swords can often represent, or can often be focused on as knowledge as well. Maybe a loss of knowledge, or a lack of knowledge, but certainly a loss of knowing if anything is this or anything is that. Things that you knew were for certain have suddenly become uncertain. That sort of thing. But there's been a lot of darkness going on there just recently, and this, it does confirm that, doesn't it? Let's see, however, let's see what is going on right now. What energies, what Crow speaks of about now. Yes, it's just as bad, I suppose. You've got the Nine of Swords here, a Gemini sort of energy there. Crowley calls it, back to Crowley again. Crowley calls the Nine of Swords the Lord of Cruelty. This tends to focus on the crucifixion and the torture. That maybe you feel as if you're being punished because of the loss of communication, the distress and the confusion of late has led to this this torture, this punishment or feeling of being punished. I always tend to focus on these 5 feathers here, as if like the 5 wounds of Christ. Only really, theoretically, only 4 need to exist. You know, the 2 in the hands and the 2 in the feet. But of course, when they pull Christ down from the cross, they just stab him in the side just to make sure he's dead. Not only has he bled to death and suffered and tra-la-la-la-la, but they just make sure he's dead by stabbing him in the side, just to make sure that if that didn't kill him, then that would. A bit like, I suppose, just kicking somebody while they're down, or something like that, maybe. And this is the sort of the thing that's going on now, isn't it? Where you've got these 4 here that only really need to exist. 1, 2, 3, 4 there, but you just got a final one here, just to lay in and stab the final time, just to make sure. It's as if maybe yes, you feel as if you are being crucified for something that's gone wrong. Maybe you are genuinely to blame, maybe, and you've just got to take it on the chin. I don't know. Maybe if you're innocent, of course, then that's or whatever. If it is about innocence or guilt, of course, that's. Let's see what the immediate future has to hold. Let's see what that holds. Around about this time next month, about that next 3 or 4 weeks or so. We'll just rotate that energy nice and slow there. Got the High Priestess. Notice there, of course, this is a Major Arcana card. We were using Minor Arcana cards here, and Minor Arcana energies, as I like to call them, Minor Arcana energies. Your first Minor Arcana energy in recent past, of course, with the 5 of Swords, the defeat, the distress, the confusion that's taken place, just to clarify that, I suppose. And of course the next Minor Arcana card is Swords, again the element of swords, the suit of swords, the element of air. Very airy, very communicative, very transmissive, powery sort of energy there again. Notice, of course, the watery part of again, with the 9, isn't it? Only number 4 to 9, so you got toward the mental and moral qualities of creative and transmissive powers for both the recent past and the present. But the minor arcana energies nevertheless gave you an opportunity to change. You know, gave you the power to change whatever. You had the power to sort of change what was going on, although you had the loss and the confusion. You nevertheless did have the power to sort of change it in some way. And even now you have the power to change things. You can either play the victim, play on being the victim, or explore something, explore a way out. But of course, with a major arcana card here, the High Priestess is a major arcana card, or a major arcana energy as I call it. And she, of course, means that you got no power over the future, the immediate future anyway, between now and this time, sort of like next month. I suppose you could say up to Christmas, couldn't you, up to New Year, or up to New Yearish sort of period there. So you could say that up to around about the 8th of December or something like that, couldn't you? Or something. But either way, anyway, the major arcana card, the major arcana energy there gives you no choice in the matter. Although the High Priestess is you know, she's representative of the moon goddess. I suppose an opportunity for introspection, isn't there, and things like that. And the moon goddess, of course, is the maiden, the mother, and the crone, all three in one, isn't she? She's the Holy Trinity. Don't get mixed up when we're on about the wombs of Christ and the Holy Trinity there, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. We're on about the true Holy Trinity of the maiden, the mother, the crone, forever old and yet forever young, going round in cycles. And of course, the 3 days before he rose again wasn't anything really to do with Christ's resurrection. It was to do with the moon, because when the moon leaves us for 3 days, as it's the new moon, as you would say, it's not visible in the sky, and for about 3 days, and then it comes back and it lightly illuminates the night sky again after about 3 days, doesn't it? So on the 3rd day he rose again. It's the moon goddess. On the 3rd day she rose again. Is this your resurrection after your crucifixion? This is what we're looking at the truth, Julieann, and this is notice the High Priestess, of course, as a necromancer. She's a seer. She has the ability to use her own intuition, I suppose, really, and she offers that energy to you. She's everything that's feminine. In some decks, like the one JJ, you have a peacock on. You have the symbol of. She's the chief witch, the head of the circle, the head of the magic circle. When they do rituals, when we call up the four watchtowers, and she stands there with a staff, and in some decks. In this deck, of course, it's this scenario here, the moon goddess in this, the form of an eagle, helping you to tune into your higher self, I suppose, listen to your inner voice. In the other deck you have a peacock, which symbolises on the earth, which is the earthly effect. The peacock symbolising the grace the effect that she has, that she's grace upon the earth. Maybe the power to forgive. Notice this connection again with the Christ thing, and the rising again and then preaching forgiveness afterward. Maybe this is what you've got to do. Maybe Crow is saying you must forgive, or you must use the power of the necromancer to communicate with maybe the dead or the spirits of old, or your ancestors even, and allow them to communicate with you and provide you with that magic, M-A-G-I-C-K, true magic in this case, to maybe help you forgive and place grace upon the earth once again. Maybe this is a case of is this torture right now self-inflicted, or is it inflicted by others? This is an interesting question, because is it? It's only a question, of course. Is the distress and the confusion of the recent past something that may have been caused by your good self? It's one thing to be confused, or be or be sort of, or feel as if one has lost out in something. A lack of communication or loss of communication. Is it you that's chosen not to speak or not to talk to somebody about something? Thinking, let them make the first move, let them do the talking first, and if not, then I'll leave it. And then the regrets come after, I suppose, and then you feel as if you're being tortured, crucified, punished, as if somebody is inflicting some form of cruelty upon you right now, because they're not doing what you expect them to do. And the immediate future, of course, is there. You have power to change it right now, and you had power to change it then, but then there comes a point when Spirit, when Crow sends the necromancer, sends the seer, sends her energy to try and heal you, and say you must forgive. So endeth this cycle. The maiden becomes the mother, and then becomes the crone, and then of course the new cycle begins with a new maiden, and of course that's how things go, isn't it? You only have to look at the moon and see how things go as it moves around the earth, and the phases change, but nevertheless the same phase comes back again. It's come round again. What goes around comes around. I just suddenly have that phrase there. Notice, of course, the feathers of the eagle, spreading your wings. Spread your wings, take flight. This is all leading to the same thing, isn't it? Ask eagle to fill you with her energy, and to help you listen to your higher self, to communicate with the spirit, follow the spirit, to communicate with your own spirit, your true self that exists on the astral plane, and to shapeshift, and to move through the darkness when the moon is present as the moon goddess, to help you regenerate, I suppose, really. To heal you, but to heal you through your own power, to heal you through listening to your higher self. Is this how I really want this? Do I really want this to carry on like the way it is, or do I have the power to forgive and move on? Not just to forgive others, if it is a case of having to forgive others and starting to talk to them again. Is it a case I must forgive myself, so that I can talk to myself in comfort, and then if I can communicate with me, others can communicate with me also. And it's all leading to this sort of same thing, isn't it? A lot of darkness going on, but nevertheless, Crow is offering you the light. If you just want to see that light, you can see it's at the end of the tunnel, and you can. There's a way to it. But it's up to you to go through that portal. It's up to you to choose to go through that portal. Spirit cannot decide for you. It can only give you the options and give you the guidance and show you the way. So with that, Julieann, rather an intense sort of maybe home truths, maybe also one must be prepared to hear, maybe one has heard, maybe one has to be prepared to give also to others, maybe to that which they have refused to communicate. Maybe the loss of communication could be a refusal to be communicated with, either by you or by them or by both, and the cruelty comes in, and the stabbing, the necessary inflictions that crucify you, that hold you impaled, as you would say there, is one thing, but to have one extra stab, just an extra stab in the back or whatever, just to rub it in, just to rub the salt in a bit, is happening now. But you still have the power to change it, and maybe, just maybe, the moon goddess, maybe the high priestess, the necromancer, the seer, will have something positive to bring. If you can turn this around, you have the power. Use your power. Own your power, Julieann. And this does not have to be anything negative. And when you own your power, you can spread your wings and take flight. It's up to them to spread their wings and take flight for themselves, but at least you will have your wings so that you can take flight, so that you can rise again on the third day. This is what it's about, Julieann. So with that, I think for now, these cards have spoken.